Welcome back to another monthly update video. I'm going to try to keep this one short as possible, so here we go. This last month for my last video, what's happened is I seen the doctor for my prescriptions to get the blood work done and everything. Talked to her about my weight issue and whatnot. At that time, she was saying that it's normal for that span of time to lose weight like that. It can happen. That can be normal. But it felt like she was disregarding my concerns. But as I was messaging them through the app and whatnot, they recommended I see nutritionist to see if that can help. So my blood work came back, everything normal except my estrogen was still too high, so she lowered it to the lowest dose to help lower my estrogen further. She wanted to be around 200 to 300 range. So yeah, well, if you hear that jingling noise, it's my cat cleaning herself. So yeah, so I seen the nutritionist and pretty much have a solid plan now where I have to change how I'm eating, my eating habits, which is a little difficult as an autistic person, having to rethink and redo everything around eating. It's a little difficult. I have to pretty much avoid added sugars. I can have like foods that have added sugars up to 25% of my diet a day. Can't have more than that. It's pretty much half of my plate when I eat has to be fruits and vegetables, and the other half pretty much like the right kinds of proteins, the right kinds of fats, and the right kinds of grains. For the other half, so the biggest portion has to be fruits and vegetables, then the other one is split into two. So yeah, and the proteins that are long lasting, have to have more of those to feel fuller longer. And if I have those foods where it's the non-long lasting, for that energy, I have to add one of the other kinds with it. So yeah, and in between meals, I have to stop what I'm doing and do a self-check to see where my hunger levels are, and I have to focus more so where my hunger levels are, from a 1 to like I think it was like a 10, where I'm feeling hungry and getting lightheaded and whatnot on one side. Then number 10 is all the way up to overfilled and overstuffed. I have to pretty much be in that comfortable range. And yeah, so that's the plan. So what has been done is I've been taking the new dose of estrogen. I've been eating more during breakfasts, like breakfast foods, learning how to add other stuff into my diet that's healthy to help. So I'm eating more. For the longest time, I stopped using milk when I got braces because I was eating oatmeal, and that probably partially triggered my weight loss, besides going off that estrogen cream. So I added milk back in and eating more during breakfast, even if I'm eating like cereals or oatmeal or other kinds of foods, and just trying to keep track on that. And since so far, last I had my weight checked at the doctor's, it went from 138.9 down to 138.4, so it's being more stable. But the way I've been eating and having my new estradiol dose, it feels like my body's slowly getting back to where it was. I haven't checked my weight, so I don't know if I gained weight or not. But the biggest part I've noticed, my tummy area, it's fuller, like feels like there's more fat in it, and my breasts feels like they're growing again, like adding fat to it. And my hips at times and butt at times, I've been feeling that pain, like growing pains. So it feels like it's slowly gaining back, which I don't like it going this, so I want to quickly get there. But I know it's not healthy to get there quickly because it can cause weight issues. So slowly getting back there is a good thing. So that's what's happening. My transition and everything's back on track, getting back to where I feel the most comfortable. And the way I was feeling off, not feeling really good with my body, where I was feeling, that's getting better. I'm starting to feel better, and I feel like it's not as off anymore. Last I checked my measurements, I gained half an inch back on my hips, an inch on my waist, and it was my leaning bust measurement. My standing didn't change. My leaning went up half an inch, and my laying went down half an inch, which was weird. Hopefully I can get all three, the standing, leaning, and laying, back up to where it was. And my waist back up an inch. And my hips back up an inch, like the hip butt area. So that's what's going on. That's what's been happening. And with all this, my doctor doesn't want me to come back in for like a regular appointment to get my levels checked. I just have to go get lab work done and just go to the lab, get my blood drawn to see where it's like 4 to 6 weeks from when I started the new dose. So the order's in. I just have to go in next month and see where my estrogen is at, and hopefully my estrogen is in the normal range, because I started noticing something with this last time and the time before when my estrogen was really high and things got resolved, and having surgery and everything and my hormones getting where they're supposed to be. I noticed when my hormones, like the estrogen specifically, is in a specific range, my body does better. My body tends to put on the weight where it needs to. My body feels better, and I don't have those dramatic issues like I've been having. And like the last time I had a huge decrease like this was my estrogen was too low, but this time it was too high. So that's what was throwing me off the way I was feeling. So we're just slowly getting back on track of that. Other than that, I'm doing better mentally with my body, not having as much issues. So we'll see what happens when my body gets back to, if I can get it back there, like when it gets back to where it gets. So far, the last month, yeah, it's been like the last month or so when I started changing things, it's doing better. So, pretty much have to keep track on the diet, like on top of having braces. That's a restrictive diet, on which is frustrating because having braces, there's certain foods I can't eat that the dietitian suggested. So we have to change from like nuts and seeds, because I can't eat those because the braces. Change it to nut butters is what she was saying. So, and some other foods, and hopefully I can get through this with having braces, with this diet, and retraining my body and my brain, so I can actually get back on track with everything. Because with having autism, that's a little struggle, trying to redo everything from past food habits, how I was eating, and just relearning it all for my body, what my body needs. And I'm hoping I can get back there quicker, but not so quick it causes issues, but in the right pace. So yeah, it's a lot my body's going through, and what I have to relearn and do for my health and my body and my transition and just life in general. So yeah, other than that, I haven't had any other major things regarding my transition happening. So yeah, if you're wondering about my braces and how that's going, I have, since my last appointment that I mentioned, they had to daisy chain the bands on the brackets when they tightened the wire, when they redid the wire and tightened it all with the spring that's not active, because they put the spring in but didn't have it active, because this last time they wanted to close the bite. That means the top and bottom teeth, the distance going like this away from each other, closer, and getting everything moved this direction more, because they were saying with what they've already done, because they're trying to create spacing for an implant, they're saying the way the spacing is, once the bite's closed, like once everything is closed, I might not have enough room for an implant. So we're just closing everything and going from there. So my next appointment's next month, then we'll see further to get this closed and all this shifted and the bite put back where it should be. And he was saying my bite's not that far off, so that's good. It's just that everything felt like it was shifted this way more, and getting it shifted back this way. And I can already tell that canine here, how much closer it is this way. It feels like there's not going to be enough space for an implant. So we can save on an implant if we can get that closed. And go from there. So that's what's been happening. Everything's going good. Not having major issues besides getting back on track with my weight. I'm hoping I can get it. Well, with my thoughts and feelings is if I can get my hips back to 38 inches, my waist back to 32, my bust standing, leaning, and laying, all three of those measurements back to 42 inches, and be able to maintain it even if my weight isn't back to 149.9 pounds where I was, as long as those measurements and those fullnesses get back to where they were. My weight doesn't necessarily have to be 100% back to where it was. It just has to be enough to get my body back to where it was with those specific measurements. So that's my goal, to get those back and to maintain and not really gain past that. But if my body decides to gain past that, then that's what my body needs. But trying to just get my body back and maintain, that's my goal with the nutritionist, is to get my body to where it was and to maintain that. And so far it feels like it's slowly getting there. Even though I'm having pains and discomforts with my body gaining, it's necessary and needed and wanted for my health. Not just my mental health, but my physical health all together. So, yeah, until that's there, we'll see in a month where everything's at, and if I have any more things happening with my transition. Other than that, nothing else. So, until my next video, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And until then,